Hi, welcome to my latest video. Just over 2 years ago, I built this. Okay, so this is my test bed breadboard prototype Webasto diesel-fired heater. Okay, so the idea was to kind of wire it all up on a bit of wooden board like this, get it working, figure out how it works, how to wire it up, what sort of switches and relays and fuel pumps and fans and all sorts of things I need, and then when it's all working I can fit it to the car. Okay, not like this, actually dismantle this and put all these bits in the car somewhere, in a box, under the bonnet somewhere. Okay, so today is the day that I'm going to take this apart. It's been kicking around in the back of my car for ages. It's been in the summer house getting in the way. It's been in my self-storage unit. It's just got to go. It's quite a big cumbersome thing. It's been sliding around on my back seat for a while, and in 2 days time I've got to give some colleagues a lift, so I've got to clear the car out of it and clear the back seats. Okay, so it is time now, after 2 years, it is time to take this apart. But before I take it all to bits, I thought I'd document how it all works, okay? Partly in case any of you are interested, and most importantly so that I know how to wire it all up again when I finally do get round to fitting this to the car. So I'm just going to kind of talk through this rat's nest of wiring here, try and explain how this all works. Okay, so it all starts with these big crock clips here. Those go on a battery, 12 volts car battery, and come round. We've got a double pole emergency stop button here, which is useful for shutting everything down should something terrible happen or it catches fire or something like that. This is an actual fuel burning heater. Okay, so there is a fuel tank here, diesel goes around and is pumped into there, so there is quite a lot of risk to this. There's quite a lot of possibility that the whole thing will explode into a big fireball. Okay, so I do need to take seriously the safety side of things, hence I put this emergency stop button there. Okay, so let's have a little look at what else we've got here. So the thick 12 volt cables go up here and through a 25 amp fuse, and then positive goes to this distribution board here, this little connector block, distribution block, and the black goes to, now it goes to this grounding block here, but it actually goes via my ammeter. Okay, so the ammeter is powered by 12 volts, but sits also on the negative return feed. Okay, so that's just how it needs to be wired up. I have no idea what that yellow wire is there, but it needs 12 volts. Oh, I think the yellow just goes to 12 as well. Okay, so we've got the red and the yellow into 12, and the black there goes to negative, that goes into 12, and then on the negative return goes through the meter and back down there. Okay, so we get volts and amps readout on there. Okay, nice digital display, 3D printed mounting bezel there. What else have we got here? So let's sort of work our way around the bottom here and then up to the top. So this here is a variable resistor, it's a wire wound variable resistor that was to control the fan speed. Okay, so this fan was to simulate the blowers in the car, and what I would do is I would sort of set my blowers to a sensible amount, which would be controlled by the air conditioning system in the car, and then when the heater reaches a certain temperature, like the water in the heater reaches sort of 50 degrees or something like that, 40 degrees, whatever it is, it's meant to switch this to full power. That's what that relay there is for. It's a changeover relay, and it's meant to simulate the blowers in the car switching to a high speed blow. Okay, so once the water in the cooling system of the car heats up to a certain amount, the blowers turn on to blow warm air out of the vents. And then when the Webasto turns off, you go back to whatever speed you've requested or the climate control system is setting. Okay, so that's what that's trying to simulate. I didn't get that bit of it working. Okay, the fan speed control worked perfectly, but it never switched to full speed. Okay, so this wire here, this blue wire here, which is supposed to go high to 12 volts at a certain temperature, and then flick this relay across to full fan speed, it never happened. It just never switched. Okay, now I've later found out that certain Webastos don't have that feature. Okay, so I think the earlier ones don't have that. This one I think is from, yeah, it's from a Jaguar. Okay, the Range Rover, Land Rover Discovery ones I think do it, but the Jag one didn't seem to do it. Okay, so this wire and then this whole relay and all of that never actually really functioned as I planned. But if I ever fit this to the car, maybe I'll see if I can get a Range Rover one which does have that feature, because it is important that when the water system heats up, it then starts to blow warm air around inside the car. That's the whole idea of this, that you then get in the car on a cold frosty morning and the car is already warm and the warm air coming out of the vents and everything. So yeah, so that's sort of still something that I need to figure out and see if I can get working. This device here is a radio remote control. Okay, it's not a mobile phone connected one. Those are available as well, but this one's just one with a little key fob. Press the button and this then enables the Webasto. Okay, so the way this is wired up is we've got red wire there for 12 volts, we've got brown for ground, and yellow is data. Okay, so you see that yellow wire going off to the Webasto, that's what's called W bus, and that is the thing that actually sends the command to the Webasto to tell it to start up. Okay, so that's the most important kind of bit of the whole system here. The blue wire there is sort of an auxiliary. It basically goes high when you turn it on. Okay, so that's perfect for driving the water pump. So this relay here is for the water pump. So we've got this blue wire here going in, and then that blue wire there goes off to drive the water pump. Okay, and also somewhere there is a these are indicator lights here. Okay, so that one there is a battery symbol, so that comes on when the battery's connected. That one, which is a sort of pump propeller kind of symbol, comes on when this blue wire goes high. So when the Webasto is told to start and the water pump starts, the pumping symbol comes on. We've also got fuel pump. Okay, so that's triggered by this green wire. Okay, so that's the fuel pump pulse. It's like a pulsing wire that pulses the fuel pump. It doesn't just turn on and run, it pulses. Okay, so the Webasto controls the pulse rate. Okay, so it's like a bit like a pulse width modulation. When that green wire goes high, that fuel pump or fuel pump sort of symbol will light up. This one here, or temperature symbol there, was meant to be this 40-degree wire, which was supposed to go high and then turn on the blowers, but that never came on. The blowers just never went to full speed. Okay, so that bit of it never worked, but it doesn't matter, it didn't stop the thing firing up and actually heating up a bucket of water. So that's pretty much it. Now, I haven't talked about this device here. So this is actually a USB attached Diagnostics device that I bought at a similar time to this. I think it might have even been the same eBay seller that sold me this. This also has a yellow wire, so the idea was that I could connect this up instead of the remote control wire, and then that would do the same thing. It will tell everything to power up and start up and everything, but you can actually control it with software on the laptop. Okay, so never got around to installing that. I've got a CD of the software, never used that. Okay, but if I get this connected up on the car, I will include that. I'll definitely include this so that I can have a key fob remote control, but I will include that, and I will bring that out to some kind of USB socket or something on the box so that I can then plug in a laptop, diagnose what's going on, maybe do firmware upgrades or something like that. I'll probably also find out why this lead here is not working. Also, should the Webasto ever kind of lock itself out, they have been known to sort of just go into a kind of locked state where they just refuse to work. You have to use the software then to kind of unlock it, apparently. I don't know, this one never did that, but I did have another 2 Webasto units, one of which really it just couldn't get working. Threw it away in the end, but it may have sort of locked itself out. So that's all the electrics there. This fuel pump here is a genuine Webasto fuel pump. It's actually a used one that was underneath somebody's car, hence it's quite rusty. You can get sort of cheap Chinese new equivalents for about 40–50 pounds. They're not as good as the genuine item. Okay, so the genuine Webasto pump, a new one of these, they are crazy money, like 150–200 pounds. Second hand, I think this one was about 40–50 pounds, similar price to a new cheap one, cheap copy one. So but it works. I was strongly advised to use the genuine pump by the guy who sold me these. I have to say I didn't really notice any difference really in even with the cheapy one. It still pumped the fuel, the thing's still fired up. Don't know really. It's always nice to use genuine parts, although I do worry that this one's seen better days. It's a bit corroded there. So oh well, it's whatever works best really. The cheaper ones can work. They can work. It worked for me. I put that one on and that worked as well. So this tank here, as you can see, is pretty grotty. Now this had a bit of diesel kicking around in it. Look at that horrible kind of caramel goo that's formed in there. Okay, so diesel, when it is left to sit, can go a bit gloopy. This one had a little remnant of diesel in the bottom of the tank, and it just dried up into a sticky mess. So I won't be using that tank because it's just in a mess inside now. I might be able to clean it out with some solvent or something, but the correct way to rig up the fuel side of it is you actually tap into the main fuel tank underneath the car. You either run a fuel line all the way to the tank, where apparently there's a spare takeoff on the sort of the fuel sender unit or something like that, where you can that's where they connect in for the factory fitted Webasto, for the Range Rovers, the Discoveries, etc. They actually take a fuel line all the way to the tank. You could connect into the fuel system under the bonnet, the fuel filter or something like that. I don't like actually any of those ideas really. I don't want to risk introducing any sort of air bubbles or anything to the fuel system, and I also don't really like the idea of any kind of old diesel or anything that's been sitting in here over the summer kind of finding its way back into the main fuel system. Maybe it fit some sort of one-way valve or something like that. I don't know. These pumps might even have a one-way valve in them, but I would really prefer to have a separate tank, and I think I'll probably mount that up sort of up under the scuttle or somewhere like that, and actually then just in the winter I can then just open it up, pour in a bit of diesel, and then in the summer I can sort of clean it out with something. I don't know, haven't decided really, but for this prototype I needed a little tank. That was the diesel tank there. Clear hose for the diesel here through the pump, and then into the side of the Webasto there. There's the fuel intake there. These plugs here, there is, now what have I got here? There should be a connector that goes on here. I don't know why I didn't use it. I think the plug was falling apart. The plugs are very expensive. You can get them on eBay. In the end, I just sort of kind of soldered onto the actual little pins here and then just connected straight on like that. It's a bit risky, but it worked. This one here is the main power connector, and that one there is for the water pump. Okay, so you can run the water pump either with this sort of auxiliary switched thing here, which is what I did, or you can connect in there. I think if you connect straight into there, then you don't need a relay. Okay, so there's probably a relay built into the Webasto, so you could actually go straight from there, straight down to the water pump. I didn't do it that way. I think I did connect it that way originally, and it didn't work. The pump didn't fire up. I thought the pump was faulty. I think I bought another pump, and that didn't work either. So in the end, I just connected it up via a relay to this, and it worked fine. So maybe the pump relay in here is faulty. Maybe even that doesn't turn on to a certain temperature. I'm not too sure, but I didn't end up using that socket there. So yeah, so that's pretty much what on the Webasto. That is the air intake there. So that has on the factory ones, it has a sort of little pipe with a little kind of air filter thing, which is something I will need to fit really. If I'm putting this under the engine bay or under the bonnet somewhere up the front, there's a chance that it could get mud and whatever. I don't really want that going into here, so we'll need an air filter on there. For this prototype, I just ran it like that with no filter. And then this pipe here is the exhaust. Okay, so it was just coming straight out like that. I was getting a face full of fumes coming out of it, and it was pretty bad actually. I was struggling to breathe. It was making my eyes water. So I put that on there, just a bit of flexi duct, just to kind of send the exhaust off in a different direction really. When these things start up, they do create quite a lot of smoke. Quite a lot of white smoke comes out as it's got a glow plug inside, so it's trying to heat that diesel. When you heat the diesel, you get a load of smoke, and then it suddenly takes off. It kind of goes, it starts to fire and actually burn the diesel, and then the smoke clears. You get kind of clear vapor coming out, exhaust fumes coming out, and the whole thing starts to get very hot very quickly. I actually ran it with these pipes here just pointing upwards with water in there. It had water in there, and it boiled that water within 5 seconds. Okay, so it heats up very quick. So what I ended up doing was just putting these longer hoses on here and then sticking that into a bucket of water. Okay, so a big bucket of water, cold water, with the pump. Now I had awful problems with airlocks. Okay, so I had to sort of pour water into this hose to get a pure water system inside the pipes, no air, because if there's air, the pump was just spinning. The Webasto was then overheating and shutting down, and it was only when I got all the air out of the hoses and ended up with that water circulating nicely that it all started to work, and then it heated the bucket of water up to about 50 degrees in a few minutes. Okay, so it's quite a large mass of water, probably similar volume to the amount of water inside the engine block and the radiator, and it heated that up very quickly. So yeah, so it all worked. It all worked in the end. I just need to find a way to put this on the car. Okay, so here is a clip now of this when it was working 2 years ago. Okay, just to prove it did work and it did heat that water up. And I'm going to now dismantle this, put all the bits in a bag, and try to actually do this project properly in a couple of months' time. I've got too many other things on at the moment. Okay, a few other projects I've got to get out of the way first. But later this autumn, before the weather gets too cold, I do plan to get this fitted to the car and get it running. It's been many years, and I just really want to get this project finished. Okay, here we go. Enjoy this clip of the Webasto working. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video. Bye. Right, let's turn on. Okay. Start that up. Right, the current has gone off the scale, so that's a good thing. It means the glow plug's on, and it means it's drawing 10 to 15 amps. Let's come back now. 9, it's between 8 and 10 amps. So the glow plug will be on, it will be warming. Once that's warmed, it will start injecting the fuel in, and hopefully it should get going properly. And eventually turn off the glow plug because it doesn't need it anymore, and away it goes. Full power. And here we go. See the little bubbles in the fuel line there. There's always going to be a very small amount of air inside there. Let's try and ignite. Just circulating. The temperature is slowly rising. Loud. That's going for it. Temperature's coming up. Still pulling 7 amps. Pumping a lot of fuel. It's really going for it. There's a lot of hot gas coming out of there. Can't hold my hand very near to the exhaust. Dropped now, the glow plug is turned off, I think. That's 3 to 4 amps, that's the fan on its own and the water pump. Going for it. That's like a hot bath, that. Very warm. Though I'm outside and it's a windy day, the fumes are pretty bad. Right, I'm going to stop it. It's 50 degrees. I'm going to stop it now. Right. Oh, that's nice. That's nice hot water.